Alright, Twerk Queen coming at you live. I'm going to do all of today in a British accent simply because I feel like it. Simply because I feel like it, alright? I stayed in my bed all day and I watched 3 different English plays. And I had a hoot, alright? And here's what I remembered. Now, my British accent is not that good. So I've got to practice, and I've got to practice it sometime, so I'm practicing it now. And if you are by any means judging me because you think I'm what? I don't know what you might be thinking. I need you to understand, you are only judging me because you're insecure, because you wouldn't do it like me. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't even try this because you're a bore. You're an absolute bore, okay? And if you're not judging me and you're having a hoot with me, hello, we must be friends. All right. So, specificity of language, right? This is very important, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it a lot, unless you're an actor, which is, you must be extremely fucking specific about every word that comes out of your mouth. Every word you utter out of your lips must be completely specific, and if you haven't got the vocabulary, you have to go and you have got to buy a dictionary, and you've got to read it profusely, all right? And you have to learn a bunch of new words so that you can express yourself appropriately and stop confusing everybody with what you might mean. Because you haven't got the words for it. You just simply haven't got the words, and it's fucking pathetic. It's absolutely, horridly pathetic that you haven't got the words to express what you mean. And so everybody around you hasn't got a clue. And everybody's trying to figure it out. And you blame it on, well, language is difficult. You are going to blame the entire English language, or any language that you may speak, instead of taking responsibility for the fact that you haven't done enough self-work, that you haven't done enough research or enough practice on expressing yourself appropriately with words, that you would rather blame an entire language than learn. It's quite pathetic if you ask me. My goodness. And then you don't understand. Well, I don't understand. I told that person how I felt. Well, you did it in between a bunch of ifs, ands, ums, buts, and likes, right? And then you used a bunch of weird slang language that I myself indulge in sometimes because it's really fun, all right? And at the end of the day, I am a Gen Z and I do live in New York and I am trendy and pop. But you start to put yourself in a very dangerous position, right? Because when you are unspecific in your language, you are unspecific with what you mean, you let people leave you up to interpretation. People get to interpret what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear, all right? Instead of getting what you absolutely do mean, they come up with their own conclusions in their mind, and that puts you in quite a bit of a pickle, right? Quite a bit of a pickle. Why do you expect this out of me now? And you're like, well, what do you mean? I thought that that's what you meant. And then you're like, well, no, I meant this other thing. Well, you weren't specific with your language. You just weren't specific with your language. What can I tell you, you know? And I've put myself in a pickle. I've been thinking about this recently a lot. Because I just think about the theatre all day, every day. I wake up and I think about the theatre, right? And what I love about the theatre, it's different from film, is that everybody says what they mean most of the time. And that's not to say that subtext doesn't exist, right? It does exist. But the theatre is an auditory medium, whereas for film, it's a visual medium. So there's much more that you can hide, right? And now, society has adapted to film. We've all adapted to film in film terms, right? Sometimes I even walk around as if there's a camera on me, and sometimes when something preposterous happens and I'm absolutely flabbergasted, I pretend and I turn around as if I was in the office and I look dead into my camera. Like, what? What do you mean this just happened? right? And I pretend that it's zooming in on me. Or I've got a close-up, or like I'm in Fleabag and I've got this fourth wall going on over here. But the reality of the situation is that there is no camera. Maybe there is God and he's watching, but we don't know that for sure, right? And when there is no camera, nobody can really see what you're seeing, right? So you've got to explain yourself. I was doing this thing, right, of more like I tried my best, but I always end up blurting out exactly what I mean, because I cannot, no matter how hard I try to repress any of my emotions, they always end up coming out. And I don't think it's a flaw. I think it's an attribute. But a lot of people have thought, oh my God, that is a total flaw. You are so intense, Oriana. And I've thought, you don't understand. I'm not intense, I'm just truthful. And I simply say what I mean. And because I simply say what I mean, I'm actually surrounded by really, really amazing people who understand me, right? And I'm very happy and I feel very authentic to myself. But the times when I have decided to repress or stay silent or try to be a little bit mysterious, right? Try to be a little bit, misteriosa. It's never been good. It's never been good, all right? All these games, oh my God, all these games, all of this repression, all of this wishing that somebody would understand me without having to explain myself, it never really got me anywhere. The second I understood, oh my God, the world actually isn't full of mind readers, and the more that I can express myself specifically, right, and well, the better other people will understand me. So the more I befriended language, right, because I'm a Mexican, even though I'm literally speaking to you in a British accent, and a shitty one at that. For a long time, I hated my native language. I hated my native tongue. I felt like nobody understood me, right? So why would I even try? I might as well just speak English all the time. And I started to erase my first language because I thought nobody understands me. It's the fault of the language. It's the fault of the country. It's the fault of the culture. And I might as well just shut up and move to the United States and be myself, my American English self. A language where I feel like I can express myself much better than even try and bother to learn words in Spanish, right? But then, in acting school, I realized that there's a lot of depth in every single word, right? I learned Shakespeare, and Shakespeare, a form of theatre that I often resented at the beginning because I was like, I don't understand it. I don't understand a single word that they're saying. I don't understand a single word they're saying, right? And the more you get into it, and the more you get out of your stupid little self, right? You stop thinking about your stupid little self. And you suck it up, and you take out a dictionary, right? And you actually try to understand what Shakespeare was saying. You feel, and you begin to feel that you are connected with the entire human race all across all time. We're exactly the same. We have exactly the same problems, right? There's just been so many specific ways to talk about them. Isn't that maddeningly beautiful? I believe so. But the way that this affects your own life is that you don't want to bother anyone, right? You'd rather things be a little bit, is ambivalent the word. Let's take this opportunity to Google the word. Ambivalent. Yes. You seem to, yes. You seem to believe that you are better off things being left ambivalent or with a certain flare of doubt, so that more possibilities are open and you can't close any doors, right? And we're so afraid of closing doors because we're afraid of saying, this is the door that I want to go through, right? But then you're like, well, if you don't want to go through this door, we could always go through that other door and eventually end up at my door, right? And so you'd rather not talk about your door at all. And then people leave it up to their interpretation because they want to go to this other door, and they would rather believe that you also want to go to this other door because that would make things so easy, right? But little do you know, you both are going to opposite doors, right? But neither of you are saying what you mean. And this could be anything. This could be anything. This could be a friend. This could be a foe. This could be your father. This could be your mother. This could be a work opportunity. This could be for a lover, probably. Right? It's in everything. It's a part of everything. And the door is just one example. Right? But then here's the thing about being specific, right? A lot of people speak about manifestation in the way of, as if it was like a magical thing, right? I don't believe it's really magic, although sometimes it's felt pretty magical. But the more specific you are in what you want, and the more specifically you can picture it, and you can say what you want and what you need, the more likely it'll arrive. Not because it's magic, but because you know what to look for. And the more specific you are, the less shit you're about to eat. Alright? The more confusing anything is, the less you're going to tolerate it. Because you're like, well, that's not what I want. I have a very specific image of what I want, and that's not the thing that I want. And actually, that's very confusing, right? Like, if you write out, this is the life that I want. This is what I want to study. And this very specific thing, doing this very specific thing, I hope to learn this, in this manner. And I hope that the school that I go to, my teachers are kind. It's not just about what I study, but the people that I'm around and how I'm studying it, right? Because you might go to a theatre school or a math school, whatever. I went to a theatre school. I tried to go to a theatre school, which I thought would be good for me. And they were abusive, and I was there for a day, and I thought, oh my God, is my life about to fall apart? No, because I was very specific. I'm done being taught by teachers who resent their students for being more talented than them. Fuck that, all right? And so I tried for other schools, and eventually I got to New York City. And my teachers were kind. And I never let up, and I didn't try all the other schools that I got into. Oh my God, I think I went to almost three different film schools and 2 other theatre schools before I ever arrived to the school that I was meant for. 99% of all of my shots and tries went down the shitter, right? But I didn't give up because none of those things were what I wanted. They looked like what I wanted. They had the body of what I wanted, but they weren't what I wanted. I wanted to be surrounded by kindness. Until I eventually arrived at Stella Adler, and I never let it go. That school has my heart. And if anybody ever talks shit about that school, I understand. Everybody has a different experience. But you know what I mean. You can apply this to a person as well. If somebody has the look that you want, somebody's very attractive to you, has the body of what you want, my God, if I knew this sooner, right? If somebody has some of the qualities of what you want, they only have some of the qualities. You've got to make a list of non-negotiables, right? And before you make a list of non-negotiables for other people, you've got to be very specific about who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Because how dare you command something from the universe when you aren't showing up as that very specific, beautiful thing that you want from the universe to give you? You can't even give it to you can't even give it yourself. What? Darling, you've got to be very specific about who you want to be and show up as that person, and be very specific in the way you manage yourself and the way that you present yourself in the world every day if you ever want to receive what you're asking for. All right. That's my rant of the day. Read. My God! None of you read anymore. It's fucking disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. I love the Brits. All right. Yes, read. Get a fucking dictionary. At least get a dictionary app, all right? Look up 5 different words every day, all right? And try to eliminate bullshit filler words, all right? Nobody thinks you sound cool. Thank you. That is all.